Why California has a bridge to nowhere.
Amid the harsh wilderness of the San Gabriel Mountains, about an hour's drive from Los Angeles, there lies a lonely bridge that leads to nowhere. That is the bridge to nowhere. But why build such a big bridge if it doesn't go anywhere? So why does California have a bridge that runs straight into a mountain? That's exactly why I'm here today, to explain it to you. Stay tuned as we uncover the extraordinary story of California's bridge that leads to nothing. At the beginning of the 20th century, Los Angeles was like a child growing too fast for its clothes. Oil was gushing from the ground, Hollywood blazed like a torch in the night, and crowds poured into the city, bringing with them dreams worth millions. But as the city swelled, it soon ran up against its natural boundary, the San Gabriel Mountains, a colossal wall of stone rising right in front of it. Those mountains stood tall on the city's edge, familiar yet untouchable. Every morning, people could sip their coffee while gazing at that cold wall of rock, which seemed to challenge them silently. Mankind can conquer everything, except me. But human nature refuses to stop before the impossible. For decades, people tried every way to cut through the San Gabriel Range. Miners toiled through the canyons in search of gold, loggers hacked deep into the forests, and investors built resorts amid the wild. Yet every path inward was an ordeal. Heavy rain turned trails into rivers of mud. Treacherous bends could end in a sheer drop into the abyss. On the far side of the mountains, small communities like Azusa and Wrightwood remained isolated in an age when paved roads had come to symbolize civilization. City officials decided they could no longer endure it. Around the conference table, they pointed to the map and placed their bet on a dream: to open a route through the East Fork Canyon, a road that promised, at least on paper, to be faster, shorter, more scenic, and cheaper. If completed, it would link the San Gabriel Valley to Wrightwood, ushering in a new era of mountain highways where cars would glide through the peaks and new towns would sprout like mushrooms. Then came 1929, the Great Depression. The dream of a mountain road seemed to vanish. But when President Roosevelt launched the Works Progress Administration, hope returned. Hundreds of unemployed Californians were mobilized, not only to earn a living, but to carry forward an unfinished dream. By 1936, the canyon echoed with the roar of drills and hammers. Workers hung from cables, chiseling rock, pouring concrete, and erecting dense scaffolds of timber. Sweat, gunpowder, and cement blended into the scent of human determination. The heart of the project was the East Fork Bridge, a white concrete arch rising over 120 feet above the rushing river. To build it, they had to dam the flow, raise wooden frames, and pour bucket after bucket of concrete, layer upon layer, until the two cliffs clasped hands, a permanent handshake between humanity and nature. When the structure was completed, the white bridge gleamed amid pine trees and gray stone, shimmering in the sunlight as a symbol of faith. Newspapers hailed it as a triumph of American engineering in hard times. Citizens took pride in proving that willpower could overcome fate. Los Angeles then believed mankind had conquered the San Gabriel Mountains. But from above, the ancient range simply looked down, calm, proud, and silent, as if waiting to see how far humans would go before nature reminded them who truly ruled this place. In March 1938, the skies over Southern California, a land bathed in sunshine year-round, suddenly unleashed an unprecedented fury. Rain fell without end, day after day, night after night, as if the entire region had been trapped inside a test set by nature itself. In 1937, one of the biggest storms in Southern California rolled through, washed out the road and pretty much everything else, but because the bridge is over the narrow gorge, it survived. In fact, the rainy season had begun at the end of 1937, soaking the soil and weakening the mountain slopes, so when the storms of early 1938 hit, everything turned into a true catastrophe. Within just a few days, record rainfall transformed once gentle rivers into giant beasts suddenly freed from their chains. The waters swept away everything in their path: villages, fields, roads, and bridges. Bridges once praised as triumphs of engineering snapped like matchsticks. Houses drifted along muddy torrents, streets vanished beneath a sea of sludge. The entire Los Angeles County was thrown into chaos. And when the death toll was finally announced, over 100 lives lost, no one said a word. Nature had reclaimed control, leaving behind a clear message: no one can win forever. When the storm passed, the WPA engineers returned to the site. The East Fork Road, the pride of California, not even a year old, was gone without a trace. It wasn't damaged, it was erased. Mountains had collapsed, rivers had risen, and all human effort was swept away, as if the earth itself were restoring its natural order. Amid the devastation, only one thing remained standing: the East Fork Bridge. It stood tall in the raging waters, solitary and lost, a grand ruin of human pride. Some called it a miracle among the wreckage, but to many others it was merely proof of a mistake, a bridge connecting the two shores of nowhere. By then, the WPA was exhausted. The economy was still weak, budgets drained, and California had yet to recover from the Depression. When engineers surveyed the land again, they quickly reached a conclusion: rebuilding would be pointless. The terrain was too harsh, floods would return, and any new structure here would be destroyed just the same. Warnings once ignored had now become undeniable truths. The project was filed away as unfeasible. People could only admit that the dream of conquering nature had been too arrogant, and the price was the entire road itself. Not long after, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers proposed a new plan to prevent another such disaster: dams, concrete levees, and an immense flood control system for the greater Los Angeles area. When they examined the East Fork map, they gave a brief, cold verdict: this place cannot be saved. And so, the dream of a highway through the mountains came to an end. No opening ceremony, no memorial plaque, no farewell. Only the white bridge remained, standing alone in the wilderness, a monument to both human ambition and human helplessness. That bridge led nowhere, yet it led people to a different realization: that the greatest structures are sometimes not what humans build, but the lessons they learn after nature wipes everything away. After the flood of 1938, everyone understood that the San Gabriel Mountains had won the first round, but the California government still tried to appear calm, like someone who had just lost their home yet insisted they could rebuild it. Meetings went on endlessly. Maps were spread across tables as officials debated possible routes, only to realize that no one truly knew what to do with a bridge that led into nowhere. Engineers proposed a series of solutions. Some suggested rerouting the highway higher up along the mountain slopes to avoid future floods. Others wanted to keep the existing bridge, replace the washed-out sections with dirt trails for the time being, and gradually upgrade them when funding allowed. A few even proposed building small, cheap wooden bridges just so locals could still cross. Every idea sounded reasonable until they looked at the cost estimates. Even the most economical plan would cost several $1 million, roughly the equivalent of the entire state treasury at the time. One council member simply sighed, and after many more meetings, the project was quietly filed away under a label that read, "A good idea, but not feasible." Meanwhile, farther north, the Angeles Crest Highway was already taking shape. Construction had begun in 1929, winding steadily across the mountain slopes. It wasn't grand, but it was sturdy, and most importantly, it didn't get washed away every time it rained. Compared to rebuilding a road that nature had erased, the choice was obvious. I was part of the East Fork extension that was commissioned by the government, and under the Roosevelt administration, it's going to connect with the Crest Highway. Just 2 years later, the East Fork project, once celebrated in newspapers as a symbol of pride, was officially removed from the national priority list. Funding, manpower, and even hope were all redirected to other, more practical projects. The dream of crossing the mountains dissolved quietly. No fanfare, no closing ceremony. When people withdrew, nature began reclaiming what had always belonged to it. Rain washed soil down the slopes, the mud fed new plants. The plants grew into forests. Roots pierced through cracked concrete. The bridge's surface slowly turned the color of rust, and the old trails disappeared beneath layers of leaves and earth. The footprints of workers from decades past became paths for deer and wild animals. The bridge still stood, but no longer as a symbol of engineering or ambition, rather as the remnant of an illusion. In the 1955, another flood swept through. It wasn't as violent as the one before, but strong enough to erase the remaining trails nearby, ending any lingering hope of restoration. The road was dead. The bridge stood alone in the valley, and the San Gabriel Mountains, as they had for ages, remained still, silent, calm, and with nothing more to say. If anyone still held on to hope that the road through the San Gabriel Mountains might one day be revived, 1969 crushed that illusion completely. A series of violent winter storms swept across the range, wiping out what was left of Route 39, the highway once meant to connect the East Fork Bridge to the rest of the world. That storm didn't just destroy the road, it erased any possibility of rebuilding. From then on, the bridge was permanently isolated amid the wilderness, a lonely monument to both human perseverance and human stubbornness. Ironically, at a time when the world was looking skyward with dreams of reaching the moon, a bridge to nowhere hidden in the mountains behind Los Angeles suddenly captured people's imagination. Travel and outdoor magazines like Outdoor Life and Backpacker began publishing stories describing the bridge to nowhere as a forgotten secret tucked away in California's wilderness. Photos of hikers standing on the moss-covered concrete railings, peering down into the gray-green river below, spread far and wide. Residents of Los Angeles, weary of smog and traffic, grew curious. A meaningless bridge surrounded by untouched nature, only a few hours' drive from the city? Soon, they began to come. Journalists, hikers, photographers, adventurers, all eager to witness firsthand what many called California's most beautiful failure. After nearly half a century of being swallowed by the mountains, the bridge was suddenly redeemed. Thanks to the efforts of local historians and preservationists, the Bridge to Nowhere was officially recognized as a National Historic Landmark. The ceremony was simple, held right at the trailhead. Amid the mountain backdrop, officials gave speeches praising it as a testament to human resilience. Yet many in the crowd simply smiled because they knew that sometimes history honors not only triumphs, but also the most memorable mistakes. By the 1990s, the bridge entered a new and strangely glorious chapter. An adventurous entrepreneur looked at that useless structure and had a bold idea. If you can't go across it, why not jump off it? In 1995, Bungee America was born, the only company licensed to operate legal bungee jumping in California, right off this forgotten bridge. Since then, every weekend, dozens of thrill seekers strap on harnesses, climb the railings, scream into the canyon, and leap into the 121 feet void above the San Gabriel River. The bridge that once symbolized failure had become a gathering place for daredevils, a perfect paradox where a pointless destination now brings joy and profit alike. If anyone still held out hope that the road through the San Gabriel Mountains might one day be revived, 1969 put an end to that illusion once and for all. A series of violent winter storms swept across the range, wiping out what remained of Route 39. the highway once envisioned to connect the East Fork Bridge to the rest of the world. The storm didn't just destroy the road, it erased every last possibility of recovery. From then on, the bridge was permanently cut off in the wilderness, standing as a lonely monument to both human perseverance and human stubbornness. Ironically, in the very era when the world was looking skyward, dreaming of conquering the moon, a bridge to nowhere, tucked behind Los Angeles, suddenly drew attention. Travel and outdoor magazines like Outdoor Life and Backpacker began publishing stories describing the bridge to nowhere as a forgotten secret hidden within California's mountains. Photos spread of hikers standing on its moss-covered concrete railings, gazing down at the gray-green river below. For the people of Los Angeles, weary of smog and gridlock, curiosity took hold. A useless bridge, surrounded by untouched wilderness just a few hours' drive from the city, they set off. Journalists, hikers, photographers, adventurers all wanted to see firsthand what some called California's most beautiful failure. After nearly half a century of being swallowed by the forest, the bridge suddenly found redemption. Thanks to the efforts of local historians and preservationists, the Bridge to Nowhere was officially recognized as a National Historic Landmark. The ceremony was modest, held at the trailhead. Amid the mountains, an official gave a speech praising it as a testament to the enduring spirit of humankind. But many in the crowd simply smiled, for they understood that history sometimes honors not only success, but also memorable mistakes. By the 1990s, the bridge entered a new, strange, and dazzling chapter. An adventurous entrepreneur looked at the useless structure and had a bold idea. If you can't cross it, why not jump from it? In 1995, Bungee America was born, the only company licensed to operate legal bungee jumping in California, right from this forgotten bridge. Since then, every weekend, dozens of thrill seekers strap on harnesses, climb a railing, scream into the canyon, and leap into the 121 feet void above the San Gabriel River. A bridge once symbolizing failure had become a gathering place for adventurers, a perfect paradox, where a destination to nowhere ended up creating both joy and profit. One of the issues that we have with hiking into the outback is medical call-outs for people who get injured, and the bridge that goes across Laurel Gulch is it's a lot of erosion, so we go up there and repair the bridges to reduce the injuries. Want to visit the Bridge to Nowhere? The path there is not for the faint of heart. You'll have to hike nearly 4.9 miles under a scorching 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit sun. Cross the river at least 6 times, slip on rocks, get soaked to the bone, and at some point ask yourself what on earth you're doing out here. But when you round that final bend and see the white bridge shimmering in the valley, all the exhaustion seems to vanish. Today, it's one of the most popular hiking trails in Los Angeles County, and also one of the most frequently patrolled by rescue teams. Some hikers return with smiles and souvenir photos, others never come back, swept away by flash floods or collapsed under the merciless heat of the San Gabriel Mountains. That's why, at every trailhead, warning signs still stand quietly, reminding every visitor that this is not an amusement park, not Disneyland, but a place where humans learn humility before nature, if only for a few hours of walking among the wild. There's a lot of twists and turns in this canyon, a lot of forks in the trail. You'd think floods were the only enemy, but nature never runs out of ideas. In 2024, fire took the throne from water. A massive blaze broke out near East Fork Canyon, racing through the San Gabriel wilderness, devouring acres of forest and coating the once scenic hiking trails to the Bridge to Nowhere in ash. In a matter of hours, familiar paths became a charred, blackened maze, hard to recognize, harder to navigate. For Bungee America, the bridge's only companion for 3 decades, survival meant bureaucracy. The company had to obtain special federal permits just to keep operating within the restricted forest zone. Visiting the bridge to jump wasn't just a test of courage anymore, it required the right paperwork too. Yet, in true bridge-to-nowhere fashion, disaster only fueled fascination. After the fire, visitor numbers soared. Every weekend, the Heaton Flats trailhead turned into a mini battlefield of pickup trucks, SUVs, and off-road vehicles fighting for parking space. One side of the scene buzzed with the adrenaline and laughter of bungee groups tightening harnesses and snapping photos. On the other, patient but slightly irritated hikers waited for someone to finish their jump and leave. It was like two parallel worlds colliding, one loud and euphoric, the other calm and contemplative. Still, no one could deny that the bridge had become an Instagram star. Every day, dozens of photos appeared online. The white arch gleaming amid green-gray mountains, veiled in mist or bathed in sunset light. No caption needed, just the quiet line, somewhere in California. And so, failure became scenery, a monument to the beauty of the accidental. The bridge leads nowhere, yet it leads to hundreds of photos and thousands of likes. Occasionally, someone still asks the old question, why not reopen Route 39 and reconnect the bridge to the city? It would boost tourism. The idea sounds tempting until geologists look at the map and laugh. The entire area is a tangle of cliffs, landslides, and gullies carved by flash floods. Rebuilding it would cost about the same as rebuilding it again after every rainy season. The truth is undeniable. The terrain, the natural risks, and the unpredictable wrath of the San Gabriel Mountains make every reconstruction plan die on page 1. Meanwhile, the bridge, a relic of past ambition, error, and resilience, still stands, unmoving and silent. In a world that constantly changes, the bridge to nowhere remains exactly where it has always been, lonely yet proud, leading nowhere, existing simply to remind us that sometimes the most meaningless things endure the longest. The bridge to nowhere isn't just a failed infrastructure project. It's a quiet reminder. Ambition cannot defeat nature, not when it ignores the destructive power of rain, erosion, and flood. Failure can still be a destination. The bridge leads nowhere, yet those who seek it find wonder in the absurd, beauty in the pointless, and fascination in the things we don't really need but can't help loving. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe. More crazy but true tales are waiting for you.